Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. I believe you can. Yes, you can. Hooray. Now, something has been emailed out to everybody who's a member of the BMFA that the CAA are wanting to look at updating the rules and regulations again. Hooray. So there's three things that'll be linked in the description. There is the sort of information from the CAA, which is just filled of jargon and sort of legalese and stuff to try and make it as hard as possible for people to read, in my opinion. There'll also be a link to the form that you could fill in to submit your feedback, and then there is a pre-written feedback from the BMFA, and that you can sort of just copy and paste all the sections in. So, for example, for question 15, answer either yes or no, so yes or no, and then you would copy and paste the bit that's in red. Now, that is fine. Everybody needs to do this because it was the feedback and the submissions that were put through when they were trying to do the first stuff, which did unfortunately get things like operator ID and stuff, but it was a lot better than it could have been. And there are things in here. If you're an FPV drone racing pilot, which I am very rarely, I'm mostly fixed wing FPV and fixed wing 3D and regular flying. You are included in this, and you are classed model. They say model flyers, including FPV drone racers. So you are all sort of included in this. The reason why I'm making this video, because most people already have this sent out or see it on different Facebook groups or whatever, is question 15 here. I agree with everything the BMFA is saying. My only slight problem is this bit. So the question is, should the CA implement geo-awareness? On-board automated geofencing and geo-awareness are features increasingly incorporated into US drones, but should be appropriate for the aircraft as they are manually piloted. The BMFA supports the concept of geo-awareness, provided the models are excluded from any such requirements. Now, my problem is the words manually piloted, because that's a grey area. So, manually piloted, what would definitely be manually piloted is you move sticks on your radio, it goes out your radio into the receiver, and the receiver kicks whatever you've put in straight out to the control surfaces. So, like any other models. Then you start going to the grey area with something like Spectrum AS3X, or what's the system that they have on flex planes? Potenza something or whatever. Anyway, the gyro stabilisation that comes in a lot of planes nowadays, because you could say that they are not fully manually piloted. When you're flying, in wind level, you do see the control surfaces moving because of the gyros in there. That's what they're for, to help keep things stabilised. And then you go up from there to something like an FY41 or something kind of like iNav, but iNav sort of crosses the border a bit into the level up from that, which have returned to home. So you still have to manually fly the plane, you have to manually take it off, you have to manually land it. The FI-41, literally, it has auto circle mode and return to launch. That's the only autonomous piloting that it does. So you can't fly that aircraft without manually piloting it. Yes, you can have the gyros on from start to finish to help, to again put it in that sort of second class that I mentioned. And then the sort of fourth and final class are the ones where you can just press buttons and it does what you want it to do. So, for example, DJI, you press a button, it takes off on its own. You then press some more buttons and it'll fly around you in like a helix to video whatever you're doing. And then you press another button and it lands. Or there are some mapping drones which you something like Ardu Pilot. It'll take off in VTOL, it'll transition to plane, fly around a waypoint mission, come back, automate and land. That to me is not manually piloted in any way, but what I think is really important is that manually piloted, it should be a case of if the plane is or the drone, or the UAS as they want to call it, is operated in such a way that it is not manually piloted at all, then yeah, that's not manually piloted. But I don't think it's a good idea for them to discourage people from using things like return to home and return to launch because you're not manually piloting it, because things like that will discourage people from using them. And again, they are a safety feature. So I'm going to copy in question 15, but I'm going to add my own sort of little blurb to the bottom of it. So if we... I'm in a bit of a temporary setup, that's why I'm on my MacBook and not my normal computer. And another reason why normal videos stopped again, because I've been decorating and stuff. That's basically what I wanted to say. It's a shame that the regulations can't be based off of your intentions with the drone, because the issues come when people want to take a video of their car driving down a road, or a video of something cool, or a video of an A380 coming into land at Manchester. A lot of the issues don't come from people who the reason why they are flying a model is because they enjoy flying the model. In the same way that when all this started, there was I believe it was a Japanese student who fell over the railings at Niagara Falls because she wanted to make it look like she was, she didn't want the railing in the way, she was leaned over it. Now, what they aren't doing at Niagara Falls is putting big, massive catch fences up to stop people from going over the edge, because it was somebody wanted to take a picture, not somebody walking past or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're someone who is flying a drone, a racing quad, an FPV plane, a regular plane, for the joy of the flight, then that, in my opinion, should be different regulations to, I am flying this drone because I want a picture of, I'm seen through glass or a YouTube, or any other YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and I want to film a car driving past, or I want to film me on a boat or whatever. If your intentions are for the recorded video product, that should be different regulations to, I'm flying for the joy of flying. Because there are some people who say that they're a drone pilot, and they're not. They know how to press buttons on a touchscreen and occasionally move a joystick to bring something back. If you turned off all the assists, they couldn't fly it. And that's what I mean. So, for my response, in addition to the BMFA response, I would like to add... I'd like to add the following. And that's basically the end of the video, other than you watch me tap this response. If you want to go, you can do. All the links will be in the description, as well as the text that I'm going to finish with. But I thought it was important for this to be included, so yes, but we'll carry on typing. In addition to the response, I'd like to add the following. When referring to manually piloted, I believe this include the use of gyros for stabilisation and systems that allow basic flight modes such as return to launch/home and circle/loitering modes. Do agree the rules have to be different from manually piloted drones. UAS. I do agree the rules have to be different from... But the grey area in the middle needs to be... I believe the piloted should be, and obviously if you're going to copy and paste this, I'm by no means the best at writing things. Okay, so in addition to the BMFA response, I'd like to add the following. When referring to manually piloted, I believe this should include the use of gyros for stabilisation in the system to allow basic automated flight modes, such as return to loitering when circle loitering mode. I do agree that the rules have to be different from manually piloted UAS to fully automated waypoint flying drones, but the grey area in the middle needs to be considered. I believe the definition of a UAS that isn't manually piloted should be a drone that can take off, fly around, and land without any manual piloting being required. So, for example, for INAV, automated takeoff and then loiter is very helpful, but pretty much nobody uses INAV for auto landing, and fewer people use waypoints. I know some people do, but it would be very interesting if there was if the regulation came out and it said, right, there are special regulations for them for mostly manually piloted drones, but they have stabilisation, auto return, and circle mode. And maybe someone like INAV could bring out a specific firmware that removes those features, so they could fall into those regulations. Because I think manually piloted now is a bit more of a spectrum. And again, some people might say that any autonomous mode shouldn't be allowed, but gyro should be. That's up to you. But they're my thoughts, and it is something that you should include. I think even if you don't include my definition of what a manually piloted drone should be, I believe that you should think about putting something in there, because there shouldn't be regulations for, or different regulations for, with and without gyros, just to help you do a torque roll properly. But anyway, that's it. Very quick and dirty. As I say, I am in the middle of decorating, so I'm in a temporary setup, and all my free time is on wallpapering and assembling desks and shit. But hopefully this has helped with you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Ooh, Screenception. Bye bye.